Communism is on the move. After Lenin and the boys shifted Russia to the Soviet Union back in 1917, communism has been expanding. Today we review the spread of communism during the Cold War. There are a ton of places communism spread to during the Cold War. Check out this map. See, it's all over. We don't have time for all of that. If you ask someone in my class about this, they'd probably say, "Bruh, I told you not to use this in your dumb videos anymore. I'm out." Well, if they did answer, they would probably say that we haven't gotten here yet. So let's just focus on the only country that communism spread to that's actually mentioned by the College Board by name in this section, and that's our old friend China. We last left China at the beginning of Unit 7. Sun Yat-sen and the China United League overthrew the Manchu Qing dynasty and eventually established a republic. China was a republic, but it was also a one-party state. And throughout the interwar period, there was a push for change and modernization and a true republic. The New Culture movement fought against the republic to change the culture. Women's liberation, vernacular literature, a true democracy, an end to the patriarchy. And communists are like sharks with blood in the water. When they smell a republic failing, they strike. In China, that shark was Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. And they clashed. The republic forced the communists out of China and sent them on what's known as the Long March, 5,600 miles in 1 year. Now, this conflict had to be put on hold during World War II because the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere had arrived, aka Japan. After Japan lost to us in World War II, China resumed the Civil War, but the Republic had been destroyed by Japan in World War II, with China seeing the second most casualties behind the Soviet Union. Plus, that one-party state that the Republic set up wasn't making them too many friends. The communists focused on the poor peasants of China, promising land reforms that would directly help them. Remember, the vast majority of China is peasants at this point, so the communists definitely have the numbers. And after Japan was defeated by the United States, the communists pushed on to victory. They pushed the republic all the way off the coast of China to the island of Taiwan, where it remains today. And much like the Bolsheviks in Russia, the Chinese Communist Party inherited a state that was devastated by war. So, how did the communists rule China? Step 1, land reform. They promised the peasants land. So, the communists rounded up the landlords, executed them, and then took that land and redistributed it to the peasants. Step 2, the Great Leap Forward. Basically, this is what Stalin was doing with those 5-year plans. Collectivizing the farms and rapid industrialization were the main goals. You may remember that Stalin's collectivization killed around 12 million people in the Soviet Union. But that was in the Soviet Union. China has a much larger population. Mao's collectivization killed around 50 million people. Let that sink in. 50 million people. That's more than the Mongols. That's way more than World War I. Step 3, the Cultural Revolution. The Great Leap Forward was meant to build up the Chinese economy. The Cultural Revolution was meant to fully shift the culture. This meant getting rid of the four olds: old customs, old culture, old habits, and old ideas. The Bolsheviks got rid of the Tsar and the old Russian ways. The Chinese Communist Party tried to do the same thing in China. They dug up old emperors and destroyed their tombs. They even destroyed the cemetery where Confucius was buried. I know. They purged the country of people tied to the old ways of the Chinese traditions. They even sent urban Chinese kids out to the countryside to go work as a farmer, as a real worker. Needless to say, these horribly repressive policies were a nightmare for China. And this repressive regime won't make any real changes until Mao dies later in the 1970s. China itself won't rebound from all of this until the 21st century. That's this century. Now, there's one other thing to know about the spread of communism, and that's redistribution. The whole point of communism is for the proletariat to rise up and seize the means of production. Okay, so once they have the means of production, what do you do with it? For this one, let's look to another spot on the planet that often gets overlooked in AP World History Modern: Iran. Now, full disclosure, Iran is not communist, but the College Board uses Iran as an illustrative example here for redistribution, so I'm going to go with it. From 1963 to 1979, the Shah implemented 19 progressive reforms to regenerate Iranian society. It was called the White Revolution because it was a bloodless revolution. In China, they executed all the landlords and redistributed the land to the peasants. In Iran, they bought the land from the landowners and then sold it to the peasants at 30% below market value. 40% of all Iranians got land in this program. The government took it a step further and built massive dams that tripled the amount of irrigation in all of Iran. In the White Revolution, large government-owned entities were privatized and stocks were sold to the public. Women earned the right for suffrage in 1963. There were massive literacy projects. In 1963, 2/3 of Iran was illiterate. Free compulsory education, social security, the White Revolution truly modernized Iran. So, the Shah in Iran redistributed the land, the water, the knowledge, and the vote. But like I said a minute ago, Iran is not communist. In fact, they were heavily supported by the United States. The Shah of Iran was actually put into power by the United States. So this redistribution was done in an effort to modernize Iran, not to seize the means of production. All right, so when the College Board is talking about the spread of communism during the Cold War, focus in on the rise of the Chinese Communist Party in China and redistribution efforts worldwide, like in China or Iran. All right, we'll come back to the Cold War in a few days to put an end to it. But the Cold War is only half of Unit 8. What's the other half of Unit 8? I'll see you tomorrow.